Hi, you're back with Mark Allen and the Opening Your Relationship Masterclass series, the untold secrets of open relationships with full consent, improved communication, deeper connection. I got it again. Today we're here with Eva Blake.
Hello, Mark. Thanks so much for having me.
Eva is a sex, love, and leadership coach who helps high achieving individuals and couples create sensational sex and epic love. She offers the erotic, emotional, and embodiment skills you need to generate the intimacy, ecstasy, and passion you desire and deserve. She holds certifications in sexological bodywork, somatic sex education, and transformational coaching. Ultimately, Eva is committed to helping you cultivate the confidence and self-acceptance to live a life you truly love.
Yes. Who doesn't want a
Wonderful.
life that you truly love?
Sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought we'd start out talking about intimacy and how it
Mhm.
applies to open relationships, which I guess would be how it applies to any relationship.
hmm
So what?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think about intimacy. Well, first, let me start with the dictionary definition of intimacy is quite a lot of things like closeness, proximity, familiarity. But intimacy is oftentimes an innuendo, right? For sex, intercourse, or my favorite from from the dictionary, sexual congress.
Ooh, didn't realize we had one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a part of the U.S. government I'm not familiar with?
Let's not go there today. But intimacy, the way that I like to think about intimacy is understanding. Intimacy is understanding, as in, I understand you and you understand me. And when we generate understanding between each other, then we create a new level of relationship. And when it comes to communication, when it comes to knowing and getting your partner, what we really want is understanding. So you wouldn't drive a car if you did not understand that a red light at an intersection means stop. Because if you didn't understand the concepts, you would increase your rate or your potential for massive collision, right?
Yes.
So when we get into relationship, what I think about intimacy is we get to create the kind of understanding, as in, I get you, I see you, I hear you, I know you. And now we can really build a relationship because when I know what you want, when I know who you are, when I know what your vision is for your life, and you know that from me, now we can actually create a relationship that works for the both of us, or the three of us, or the four of us, or however many people we want to have involved in our life, whether that's other partners or children or parents or whomever. But if we don't have clear understanding, then we're going to create some collisions.
Those don't sound like fun.
No, but collision is pretty common, isn't it? Collision, conflict, arguments, misunderstandings, uh, miscommunications, if you will. And I think that at the heart of relationship is I get you, I know you. And also from the individual side is I get to be me because I know that you will get me.
So how do we cultivate intimacy in our relationships?
Well, we get to have real, honest, authentic, heart centered, connected conversations with each other. I mean, when I think about the times that I was first opening up my own relationships and I was learning about open relationships, one of the kind of mindsets or frames, orientations that I was hearing from a lot of other people and I was applying in my own relationship was, what are the rules we're going to have? And oftentimes the rules are like, what are we not allowed to do? Instead of, what do you really want in your life? What would be a 10 out of 10 relationship for you? What's the best possible scenario for you, for me, for our life together? What do you really want to create with not only your life but your love? Or what do you really want to create in your sexual life? Because everyone comes to wanting to have an open relationship or wanting to explore different kinds of dynamics from a lot of different places. And oftentimes we come from this place of like, what are the rules? And when we come from a place of rules, we're like setting boundaries and setting edges before we have a really clear vision of where we want to go. So those boundaries and those edges become like walls or prisons or, just like entrapment rather than a, a bumper that helps us stay in the lane because we know where the lane is going.
Yeah, so many people start out with a certain set of rules and very quickly taken cast them aside. I think a lot of times they're built more as a protection mechanism, like you're talking
Yeah.
about, not really thinking about where we want to go, but we can't possibly allow ourselves to go there because that might not be right.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole idea about what's right or wrong, I think doesn't really work by and large for most people because my what's going to be right for me or what's going to work for me, Mark, is probably not going to be the thing that works for you. And if we just happen to have overlap, well, that's really great. But the rules of like right or wrong, I don't think it's really valuable. I think it like locks people into I have to do it a certain way rather than, again, what's my vision? What do I really want? What would be the best possible experience that I can create with this one precious life that I have, right? Like what is the kind of relationship, what's the kind of dynamic, what is the kind of love life I can create for myself that's going to have the most amount of win with the least amount of loss?
So can you speak to swinging a little bit? Is that, I mean, is that something that you think, I mean, I guess I shouldn't take and peg that because it's not all swingers are the same way, and there's, that within the shades of gray of non-monogamy, there are shades of gray within the shades of gray is
Absolutely.
what I found.
Absolutely.
But I think swingers are often pegged as just down for the sex
Mhm.
and not the intimacy. Is that the way you've seen it?
Well, I've seen a lot of different people do a lot of different things. I think that, you know, my impression when I talk to clients, when I talk to people out in the world about open relationships or about what they want in their sexuality, a lot of people want more variety, mostly because we're human beings and we love variety. We love novelty. Like we need novelty, we need spontaneity, like we need passion in our lives to have a healthy, um, exciting life, right? Like our brains want that, right? And so I think for a lot of people, especially people who've been married for some period of time, I'm thinking, like a decade or more, a lot of the people in that category that I've talked to have some level of dissatisfaction in their sexual life. And so they think about, well, how do I open my relationship or how do I get more sexual pleasure, or more sexual contact, or more sexual fulfillment in my life? And opening the door or opening the relationship is one of the things that most people think about, right? Because it feels they feel trapped in what they have. This is my wife, this is my husband, we have this family, we have this life together, we can't risk it. I don't want a divorce, I don't want to start over, I don't want to have to go through all the pain and suffering, I don't want to lose half of my assets in a divorce, et cetera, right? So I don't want to rock the boat, if you will. I don't want to destroy this thing that I have, but I do want more. And I don't know how to create that in the context of my relationship. So, yes, I'm unhappy sexually or emotionally intimate, emotional intimacy, or some kind of physical intimacy and sensuality. So, I want to go explore that with other people. So, I think swinging is one of the ways that I think some people say, okay, that can just be the best first option. It's like one of the most accessible in terms of media that we have for this is another option, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go out there and give it a try. But one of the things that I've really found when I've dug in with people and really asked them about their experience is lots of people find out that, like, oh, I wasn't actually really in love with my partner to begin with. I fell in love with this other person, or I'm just here for the sex and the play, or actually what I get from this person who I, am having sex with, who's not my husband, wife, my partner, is I get a level of emotional intimacy that I wasn't receiving in my primary partnership. Right. So I think people want to get out for, not get out, but people want to open up for a variety of reasons. a variety of elements of intimacy: sexual intimacy, pleasure, play, sensuality, erotic exploration, as well as emotional intimacy, freedom, connection, feeling like their heart gets to be connected to someone new, like a new level of love. Right. I had a client once who was married to someone, and they had a kid together, and overall they were really happy, except for what was occurring in their sexuality. And they went out swinging, or they opened their relationship to, they switched with a couple. And then her and the man from the other couple, they created a relationship together. And what it opened up for her, the woman who was my client, what it opened up for her was that she really felt like, wow, I've never been loved this way in my entire life. Like there was a level of love that she just hadn't felt with her current husband. And so while it might have started off as a sexual game or a sexual, like a playfulness, right? What she actually got was a level of emotional connection and stability that she had yet to have. And so it filled her in a really deep way.
Wow, that's really great. To be able to even just find that and stuff, because I think so many of
Yeah.
us are looking for something like that and don't find it. And for me, I mean, we've been swingers since 2018, and we have several couples that we have maintained contact with and talk. One of them we talk almost weekly and everything, and it's useful in several ways, but one of them is that there's just, yeah, I have another female that I can take and bounce something off of it, and talk something out that I just can't quite seem to get at with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So it can provide things like that, as well as sexual freedom.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that what I would say is that there's so many different kinds of opening up, of course, and for your audience, there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many different things, there's so many possibilities to explore. And one of the things that I've experienced in my own life from having an open relationship, having multiple partners at the same time in different kinds of leather or BDSM relationships is that communication is the key. If you're not down to process, you are not down for polyamory, right? Not, if you are closing down the doorway or the pathway to open communication, which oftentimes is about, what am I feeling? What are the emotions that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm afraid of? What's the story that I'm telling myself about this moment or about this experience? Like what is coming up for me? And what do I really want moving forward? If you are not willing to have those intimate conversations, then creating an open relationship is going to be really difficult. And I think that one of the gifts of the queer community and all of the queer liberation work and the BDSM community and all of their consent and negotiation work and the polyamory community and all of their, intimate conversation work, like the value of all of that is that it gives us a beautiful context and structure by which we can use. Like so much has already been modeled for us in this world and in this work that, um, you know, in a lot of ways, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to create something in your life that really works for you.
So if you're thinking about that, you'd like something more than what your current relationship uh, provides, and you're wanting to ask your partner about it. I think a lot of times we feel a lot of angst and stuff over that. They're going to think we're that they're not enough for me and stuff. Would you speak to that?
Yeah. I mean, again, the place where I always start is like, what do you want? What is it that you want? Let's get as specific as we possibly can. And, I facilitate a lot of conversations between couples regardless of what it is they want, but just a conversation about what is it that you desire in your life, in your intimacy? What do you want with this person that you're with? And what else do you want that you don't currently have or you're not currently experiencing? And when we can get some clarity around that, then we can really go deeper. So, for example, one of the things that I think occurs in a lot of relationships, especially as we get older, is that different partners have a different level of desire for frequency, rate, style of sexual relationship with each other, right? Sometimes we call it like a difference in libido. I don't think that's completely accurate, but what I do think is that, as we develop or as our bodies change or as we are up to different things in our life, that our focus becomes different. And so one of the things that I think is really valuable is asking, how important is sexuality or sexual intimacy? How important is that to you at this stage in your life? And that's one of the places where I really like to start, because it actually takes away the idea of like, I want more sex and you're not having sex with me. And listener, if you can't see me right now, I've got my hands on my hips and I'm like shaking from side to side with some attitude, right? It's like, it's not about like presenting kind of temper tantrum, right? And it's not about like, you're not good enough for me, but it's what the real question is like, hey, partner, I love you. Just where are you at in your life right now about this particular subject? Where are you at? What's important to you about sex or pleasure or play? What do you really want in your erotic life? And if I'm asking the question, guess what? I get to answer the question. Hey, this is how important this is to me. Like I fantasize a lot. I'm still really curious. There's so much more that I want to explore in my life. And I'm actually hungry for new, interesting experiences. And once we have that, a level of where are you, where am I, now we actually have valuable information that we can work with. I think that setting the stage or having those conversations before saying, hey, honey, I know we haven't had sex in a year and I really want to open our relationship because I've got to have sex and we're not having sex, and like that, I think that's going to cause more collision at the intersection than, you know, red light, yellow light, green light, knowing, right, the rules of the road. So it's really about like creating that understanding of where are you, where am I, and what is it that we want to create together? Again, what can we create together with the most amount of winning, with the least amount of loss? Because if you don't want to have sex ever again, you say now, and I say, well, I really want to. I'm hungry for it. So then the question becomes, so how do we get to both have what we want, where neither one of us is suffering? Do you want to be in a relationship with me where we both get to have everything we want and we are both fulfilled and happy and joyful every day, and neither one of us is suffering to take care of the other person?
Wow, that just would. Can I rewind like 10 years and stuff and go back to,
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
because that just seems like such a much more powerful place to come from, and there, I think there's a lot of shame around, approaching your partner and saying I want more and stuff. And I think that by you each talking about what you really want, you can find that, I hate to use the word lowest common denominator, but that's kind of one way to describe it, to find a way forward.
Yeah, and I would even say it's not like the lowest common denominator. It's like, how can we be our greatest selves? Right? Like the greatest version of me and the greatest version of you, like we're going to need different inputs to be that, right? So it's not like what's the lowest common denominator? What's like the most basic thing that we can both agree on and we'll both hate it? Like, oh, it's like, I want Chinese food. I want pizza. Fine, we'll get Italian. It's like, gross. Why do we do this? Like, what's the equation where we can both be like radically fulfilled and totally in love with our life? And yeah, it's going to bring up a lot of stuff probably for different people, right? It's going to bring up a lot of stuff if your partner says, no, I totally don't want that. And I don't want you to have that either. And it might bring up a lot of stuff for you if you are hiding and afraid and you're like, well, my partner is going to think that I'm fill in the blank, whatever adjective it is, if I say this is what I want. I think the other thing is that most people act like, okay, once we're together, we've like won the prize, or we got married. So, now it's just smooth sailing. And we're not really taught in this culture, in our society, how to create sustainable, passionate relationship, right? And that actually takes input all along the way. And whether you're opening your relationship or you want to stay monogamous or you have, you know, a polycule of multiple pods and all kinds of, like, you have your own party pod going on, like whatever it is, like there's always this, there's a, an opportunity all along the way in your, on the timeline of your life, in order to create greatness in every part of your life. And so that's why I asked this question: what does a 10 out of 10 relationship look like? And what does a 10 out of 10 sex life look like? And lots of people will start with, well, Mark, people say, Eva, I have sex 3 times a week and it's fantastic. And I get a blowjob or have an orgasm, or right. And they start with that. But once we get underneath it, virtually every single person I've asked this question of is, I feel free, free to be myself. I'm loved and I'm celebrated. Right. And I don't have to hide. So if we're working from that level, like me personally, I want to be in a relationship where I'm working from at that level. Like, okay, well, how do we create a life together where each of us is celebrated and we're free to be ourselves? When we're working from that place, that's really different than, well, for fuck's sake, I haven't gotten a blowjob in a year and I really want one.
Wow, big
Right?
difference.
It's an enormous difference. And it changes the quality of your life. So intimacy is about understanding. It's like, how can I understand you at the deepest level so that you can be free in your life? How can I, who do I get to be for you to be free in your life? That's that's my stand. That's where I live. So when I work with couples in these conversations of intimacy and relationship, it's from that place rather than from a place of like rules and standards and, definitions. It's like, who do you really want to be in your life and who do I get to be to support you to create that?
Wow, like I said, that's incredibly powerful. That's a great way, and to have the freedom to allow each other to take and say what that is openly, even though it's like I mean, I've got my partner. I've been married for almost 31 years, and
Mhm.
it's like I don't know that I even knew what I wanted when back 31 years ago. In fact, it's like I didn't know. It wasn't that I didn't want marriage. It was that I wanted something else besides being single and married. But there was there was no way to know what that was. Those are the
Mhm.
choices and stuff. Those were on the ballot, and I chose, and I'm happy with the choice I made, certainly. But to have the ability now to talk about making it into something else and to have it morph into something that we both enjoy is just fantastic. And
Mhm.
that's I think that's a lot of the freedom you're talking about, is freedom to decide
Mhm.
what's right for us, not what society has told us is right for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it takes multiple conversations over and over again. I think that there's this idea in our culture that if we just talk about what we want our relationship to be like once, then we are complete. Or if I can just have the sex conversation one time, then we'll be done. Right. But look, what turned you on at your, when you were 21 or 25, what kind of relationship you thought was possible at 25 is going to be very different when you're 45, 55, and 65. It's just very different. You are a different person. You're literally, your entire cellular makeup is different. Right? You're like a whole new person. Right. And so the other part is like, we get so set in our ways and so ingrained in our patterns. But when we're having this dialogue of what do you want to create in your life? What do you want to create this year? What do we want to create together? What's a kind of, where do we want to go with our love, our passion, our joy, our intimacy together? What do we want to create? You and me, right? When we're having that conversation regularly, then it opens us up to not be stuck in a rut. And when we get stuck in a rut, it's super easy to go into judgment and loathing and despair and, shame, and to stay there. Right. But if we're in this conversation of like, wow, what's the possibilities? What if I could have anything I wanted to, if I could wave a magic wand and have anything I wanted to, what would it be? Even just to like play in that space in a dialogue, even if it's just like an intellectual exercise. Like how fun can that be between you and your partner to play in that space and then really sit down and be like, okay, so I heard you. I understand you. I'm so excited. I'm inspired by what you offered. I'm inspired by what you shared with me. I had no idea that you wanted, I don't know, to be an art teacher, to move to Greece, to have another lover. I had no idea. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. So, how do we create that?
You just invited in to do that would be just fantastic. And I agree with
Yeah.
you. It's like I've thought sometimes, oh man, it's like, I didn't we didn't really start till in our 50s here, and I wish it's been we'd done this like 20 years ago, and then I think no, I couldn't handle it back then. There's just we were raising our son and doing other things, and I just it just wouldn't have been there. Just wasn't the time, maybe, is the way to
Mhm.
view it and stuff, to work on us and do it as a couple at that point. So as much as I'd like to have the more time and do it and be much younger and do it, I don't think it would have really worked out.
Yeah. Well, you're at the perfect age now for the next perfect evolution. And so I think that, there's a lot of people who are Mark who are in the same, situation as you, right? They got married, they raised their kids, they did the first part or fullness of their career, and now they're looking at the rest of their life going, so what else is possible? Right? You might not be asking yourself the exact questions that I was asking, but at some level, you're having that dialogue inside. What else is possible? What else do I want to experience? Or maybe you're like a lot of people that I talk to, which is like, holy shit, I'm looking around and I'm like, is this really all that there is?
Yeah.
Is this all that I get in this life? Really? Is this it? And so maybe there are people who are listening who are like, wow, I thought that marriage and monogamy was the only way forward. I thought that was the only possible version. And did it and I got on autopilot and I raised the kids or I provided for the family and now kids are out of the house and now what? Kind of like, well, now there's an open space, which is really fun to play in.
When you get to retirement age, and you don't even have the job that you go to, so it's like now not only do we not have the kids, but we are potentially with each other 24 hours a day, and definitely have that space to take and work on doing whatever we want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that when it comes to having these intimate conversations, there's if you've been listening, you've been hearing me ask you this question, what do you want? Right? It's like the most important part of this is really clarifying for yourself what you desire in your life, in your love, in your sex, in your body, in your health, in all the different arenas of your life. And that you have clarity about that and you get to share that and you do share that. And I think the other part that's really important is to celebrate any new information. Now, this may sound silly, but I in my conversations with my friends and my lovers and my clients is that anytime that there is any inch forward in opening up, in recognition, in hey, I created this new discovery about myself, I bring out the pom poms. Metaphorically speaking, I don't actually have literal pom poms, but I do bring out the pom poms and I'm like a cheerleader and I'm like, yes, that's awesome. I love this because most of us have been conditioned to think that if we share something new or if we reveal ourselves and we are vulnerable, that we're going to get kicked in the teeth, that we're going to be pushed away, that we're going to be, excommunicated. And so there's a lot of tenderness around sharing something new. And if you want to change the culture of communication in your relationship, then you get to celebrate any movement forward of intimacy, vulnerability, and understanding that you generate and that you experience from your partner. And that creating that shift is going to create the space to have really deep, heartfelt, connected conversations that move your relationship forward.
Okay, I'm gonna go buy myself a set of pom poms because I think that's just a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Maybe got a cowbell around that from some races I did that I could use for the same thing too. But yeah, I like that because I think that we carry a lot of shame in that what I want is not what the normal is,
Mm-hmm.
and can I really take and tell my partner about this, and are they willing to listen to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, kind of like right and wrong, I really do not subscribe to this idea about what's normal. There is what's common. There's lots of things that are common. Doesn't mean that they're normal, right? Because it's like if you're not normal, then you're abnormal. And if you're abnormal, then like the idea is that you're somehow like bad or wrong or like not doing it right. And like that binary just is not useful, Mark. You know what I mean? It's just
Oh,
not useful, right?
yeah.
But what I like to be curious about is like what's common for you and what works for you. What works for you and what doesn't work for you. What is it that, and we're talking about like whether it's like sharing or when you're in an open relationship and you're negotiating, right? The things that really work for me to create connection, for example, right, is eye contact. I love when the person that I'm talking to is looking me in the eyes. Oh, I love that. I really know that we are on the same page together. We are, at least we are striving to be on the same page, right? Or if we're in person, that we're sitting actually face to face, like shoulder in front of each other, like squared up, rather than I'm sharing something that's really important to me and you are sitting off to the side as if we're in a car together. Like that doesn't let me feel connected. So instead of normal, I always think about like what actually works, what works for me. And from that place of what works and what do I want and what do I want to create in my life, now I get to make some requests. This is what I request from you. This is what I request from me. What is that you request from me? What do you want or need from me to be the best partner for you or for you to feel connected so that we are moving into understanding and creating alignment together?
I love what you said earlier. That's it's not likely to be a single conversation. It's likely to be an ongoing set of conversations that maybe zoom in on exactly what I said I wanted to be open. Well, what kind of open? And so
Mm-hmm.
start talking about what that is, and I would suggest people not worry too much about the label of swinging or polyamory or whatever and stuff, and just look for what's right for them and not worry about the label. The label might
Yeah.
might be necessary for online dating or something like that to be able to describe it, but I think you can,
Mm-hmm.
once you make that connection, you can take and go, well, we're really this or whatever and stuff, and that's just the
Mm-hmm.
closest to it.
Yeah. Labels are valuable in their place. Um, and what I've discovered in my own life and when I've worked with my clients is that oftentimes me too, start with a label and then we like try it out and I'm like, whoops, nope, that's not where I want to go. I didn't like that. I don't actually want that. I want to have I want something different. I want to experience something different. And so a label is valuable and like be as attached to it, as like, your socks for the day. At the end of the day, you're going to take them off and you're going to put on a clean pair tomorrow. It's like, don't be so attached that it tears you apart or it makes you stinky. Just to wrap that metaphor up.
There we go. I like it. I like it a lot. So I really appreciate this. This has been very, very valuable, and I love a number of things that you taught us, and hope to use those actually in progressing my relationship. I
Mhm.
understand you have a free gift for us.
Yes, absolutely. I have a gift called Intentional Intimacy. And this is an audio practice series. So I'm going to lead you through a series of embodiment practices so that you can become more intimate with yourself. When you create intimacy with yourself and you know who you are and what you desire and how you live, how you move, then you create a pathway to ease for intimacy with another. So, this is really a practice for you to come home to your body so that you can be at home with someone else.
That sounds awesome. I'll make sure and put a link to that here on the show page and assess it. So if people want to reach out and work with you, what's the best way for them to
Mhm.
do that?
My website, liberatingdesire.com. Liberatingdesire.com. And there on the homepage, you can download a free gift. You can sign up for a connection call and you can get on my wait list for my next free workshop. I have one every month. So there's lots of different ways for you to be in relationship with me. And also you can talk to me about working together.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Eva.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, Mark.